I make it a goal to do at least 100 miles an hour every single day. Keep my life exciting. Being a shop owner, I obviously wanted to have a really cool car to show off to my customers and just people out and about, you know. I chose a 370Z. Last time we left off, I had a pretty interesting first test drive when we finished the car. Since then, the car has come so far, and there's just so many people that are so passionate about the car from hearing about the story and the whole build process. And I think people really love clinging to reviving a car that was once an idolized car by a lot of people. A lot of people want a 370Z Sport Edition. I mean, it's just, it was the pinnacle of that car. Since then, we've done so much to the car. I mean, you think we've done a lot just to get the car ready for that test drive. We've done full color change. It's candy paint now. The car has an entire full roll cage in it. We had it a bucket seat. We've done full suspension. We've updated all the aero on the car. There's so much we've done to the car. The first time I drove the car, let's talk about that. My first legal time driving the car with no police issues. That went really well. It was exciting because I got to really test the car. I really wanted to push the car to see what it would do. So obviously, me being me, I'm gonna wanna drive it as fast as I possibly can, wherever I can. Go out with the boys, go hang out, you know, doing some racing stuff. I'm not racing, it's not that fast. 330 something horsepower. So it's quick, but it's not fast. So on the way back, I'm like, you know what? Really gonna push this thing and see what she's got, you know? Testing aerodynamics is a little sketchy for me because you never know what's gonna happen. You're just gonna kind of wing it. So I'm doing about 75, 80 miles an hour. I do rolling launch control. And I hit it, and I come to the point of where I don't look at my speed anymore. I just stay focused on the road because you never know if it's going to get squirrely, how it's going to react with you know, like crosswinds or anything like that. So I'm cruising about 80. Like I said, I hammer it. I'm in it. I'm in sixth gear at about 170 with the car, which was very surprising to me. When I look down, you don't, in that car, you have sports cars, you know, it's like, you don't feel like you're going as fast as you're going. You look down at the digital speedometer, it's 173, 175 miles an hour. You're like, wow, okay, so I stay in it. Obviously with that power range, power versus wind drag, you can't really go that fast. I ended up getting the car at about 185, which was very impressive for a 330 horsepower Nissan 370Z. So obviously the modifications I did worked well. We changed the gear ratio in the rear, so that helped a lot. I get back and I'm at the shop and I'm just sitting there just hanging out with my wife, and we're just looking at the car, just hanging out, and I look at it like, I did 180 miles an hour on the way here. And she's like, what? We have a baby on the way. What are you thinking? I was like, yeah, and I'm thinking as I'm not so shocked as most people to do speeds like that because it's a daily thing to do 100 miles an hour for me. I make it a goal to do at least 100 miles an hour every single day. Keep my life exciting, you know, keeps me young. And I think that at the time I was thinking about it, how can I improve this car? How can I make this car faster? So do some more modifications, change a few things aerodynamic wise, you know, put a little bit different pitch on the car, lower the front end, raise the rear end up a little bit. 187 in the exact same distance. I was like, okay, we're making improvements here. She didn't like the fact that I was doing 180 to test the car. Obviously, it's a little nerve-wracking to do that in a car that didn't have a roll cage at the time, or working airbags, or anything safety required-wise. No helmet, Hans device, no big deal. So it got me thinking, I really want to see what this car has potential-wise, top speed. I started doing some research and noticed that these guys are doing almost 200 in these cars with power. So the fact that I was able to do that in a long stretch of road, I mean, we're talking about 5 or 6 miles to do that kind of speed. It's don't think that I'm doing it from this small exit to this exit. No, it took me a long time to get that car to that speed because so much wind drag versus power. So it really got me thinking, how can I take my shop car and put myself on the map? Okay, well, you got to beat a world record. You can attest to that. I mean, it separates the boys from the men, essentially. And I feel like if I can do 200 miles an hour in this car, I'm going to plan to do it. So my quest with this car, now that I have decided, is I'm going to build a custom turbo setup on it, because why not? You know, it makes 300 horsepower. Let's see if we can make 700 or 800 with it. So we're going to push the car to the absolute limit of what the half-mile record is. As far as I understand, it's 173 right now. In a half mile, that's fast. So obviously I'm thinking in my head, okay, well I did that over 5 miles. So how can I do that in a half mile?
No, I did not, bro.
So we started running the car on the quarter mile and we realized that it's slow. So my plan is to put as much nitrous and as much boost on it as I possibly can. And my goal is to beat the world record. Sorry, no, not beat, crush the world record. I would like to be one of the first 370Zs to do 200 miles an hour in a half mile run. I don't care what it costs. I just want to do it. Just to say that I did it and crush that world record. I don't want to beat it by a little bit. I want to crush the world record. And I also want to have a car that I can put some drag radios on and go down to our local gas station where everybody hangs out and just destroy a few Corvettes, you know? There's a couple 1,000 horsepower Corvettes down there. I'd like to really show them what this rice burner can do. So the journey for the car has come a long way. It's insane. People come by and stop by the shop and just, they love hearing about the story of the rebuild of the car. And now they're like, what's next? And I love expressing that, what's gonna happen next. So my next plan is once I do 200 and a half mile, I want to do a 200 mile an hour run with that car on the highway just to say I did it and give myself my own award and my own record. I was stupid to drive the car, not fully finished, not rebuilt. Now that we are rebuilt, the car is so much more sound, solid, safe. You know, I can't express how the journey has brought me so much closer to the car. Like, I feel like no matter what, I will have this car for a very long time. Even if I buy a Lamborghini Ferrari, it doesn't matter. I will have my 370 because the rebuild process on the car, from almost getting arrested with Zach with no paperwork and a suspended license. Oh, by the way, my license is not suspended anymore. I got that fixed. The rebuild process really brought me in with the car. And the car and I are now one. I feel like I feel very safe in it. I feel very at home when I'm in the car. And that's why I feel like I need to do 200 miles an hour in it.
Shopping for insurance can be an absolute nightmare, but it doesn't have to be thanks to Policy Genius. They're our sponsor for this month at VINwiki, and you can visit them at the link in the description below. You tell them a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your property, and they find the best deal by shopping amongst all the major carriers at the same time. In fact, you can bundle things like homeowners insurance and auto insurance, and the average user that bundles both of those things saves about $1,100 a year. So be sure to check them out and thank them for their support of VINwiki.